Alright, let's talk about the Scout Oath. Alright, well, you know what a Scout is. Do you know what an oath is? Think about it. Maybe pause the video and ask yourself, what is an oath? So did you think about what an oath means? An oath is kind of like a promise. When you say an oath, you're saying, I promise to do these things. So, when we say the Scout Oath, we're really making a promise. So let's listen to the Scout Oath. Let's see what it says. It says, on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Well, that's a lot of words, isn't it? So let's talk about what each one of those things means, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to, when we go through each section, pause the video and discuss it with your mom or your dad and talk about what does it mean to you and what are some ways that you can do that at home, okay? And then I'll say what I think it means. All right? Okay, on my honor, I will do my best. That's the first part. What does that mean? Well, what does on my honor mean? I think to me it means that I'm going to be truthful and make a good promise here. So if I say on my honor, if I say I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do my best, then I really will do my best. I'm not going to say, well, I'll do my best, but then just do whatever's easiest or fastest or whatever is most convenient to do, right? So if, for example, you were told to please clean up your toys, and you said, on my honor, I will do my best to clean up my toys. Well, then that means that you have to clean up all the toys, right? That doesn't mean that you go down and just maybe clean up one thing, or maybe sit down and just play with your toys instead of cleaning them up, right? Sometimes it's hard to resist that temptation, but we always try to do our best, okay? Nobody's ever perfect. Not even me, not even your mom or your dad. Everybody makes mistakes, but as long as you do your best, you can be proud of the job that you've done, okay? So so by saying on my honor, I will do my best, you're making a promise that you're going to do your best, okay? We know that everybody makes mistakes, but we're going to do our best every time, and we're going to try as hard as we can to do the right thing, and that's what this is all about. So, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout Law. Alright, well, let's set aside the Scout Law because we haven't learned about what that is yet, okay, but we will. So we know that we're going to learn the Scout Law, and we know that we're going to do our best to follow the Scout Law. What does it mean to do your duty to God? Well, each of us practices our faith a little bit differently. So that's an important thing for you to talk about with your mom or your dad. A lot of us go to Holy Spirit Catholic Church, but maybe not all of us, and that's okay. It's important to have faith in God and to do your duty to God. And so, since each family practices their faith a little bit differently, that's something that you're going to discuss with your mom and your dad. Okay? So think about that. How can you do your duty to God? Okay? One thing I can think of that's really easy that we should all do is to treat other people the way that I would want to be treated, right? Sometimes we call that the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? That means I'm not going to do something to you that I wouldn't want you to do to me. And that's one way that I think I can do my duty to God, okay? And I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, how can you do your duty to your country? Well, you're just a kindergartner, right? Your whole country, the whole United States of America? What can you do to do your duty to your country? Well, there are a lot of things you could do, right? You might not be a grown-up and you might not understand everything yet, but you're learning, and there are a few things that I think that you can do to do your duty to your country. So why don't you pause the video and see if you can think of anything so that you can do right now to do your duty to your country. Alright, did you think of a few things? I hope so. Here's what I think. I think that you can do your duty to your country by learning how to say the Pledge of Allegiance, learning what each part of the pledge means, okay, and taking that seriously, okay? You can do your duty to your country by being respectful of the flag, right? We try not to let it touch the ground, okay? We show the flag respect. And when you're older, you're going to learn a special way to fold the flag, okay? What are some other things you can do? Well, if you don't have a flag at home, well, you could help your mom or your dad put up a flagpole, maybe on the side of your house, okay? If you have an old flag, maybe you can help take care of it by maybe washing it. And if there's any stains, getting the stains out. Or if there are some small repairs you can make, maybe you could help make some small repairs to it. What are some other things you could do? Well, you can be a good citizen by doing things like caring for your community. Simple things like not throwing trash on the ground, or if you see litter, if you see somebody who threw trash on the ground, maybe you could pick that up and throw it into a garbage can. That's one way of helping out your community, and by helping out your community and being a good citizen, you're doing your duty to your country. Okay? And there are plenty of other things you can do when you're older. Things like vote, right? And that's coming up pretty soon right now. I don't know if your mom or your dad have talked about it or if you've heard anybody saying it, but pretty soon everybody gets to vote on the president, and that's a very important responsibility that adults get to do. And one day, you're going to get to do it too. Okay? So that's a way that I can do my duty to my country, is to go out and vote in November. Okay? All right. So, we've talked about doing your best. We've talked about doing your duty to God and your country. We know that we're going to obey the Scout Law. But we haven't learned that yet, but we're going to get to that next. Okay? What's the next part? To help other people at all times. It's pretty important, don't you think? Why don't you pause the video and talk about how you can help people at all times. Some of us are staying at home. Some of us are going to school. Some of us might be doing some sports or other activities. So there are lots of different situations that we've all found ourselves in right now. But no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, and even if you're not leaving your house, there are ways that you can be helpful to other people at all times. So I want you to think about that. Pause the video, and then come back when you're ready. Alright. Did you guys think of some good things? I did. Well, if you're staying at home, and a lot of us are spending more time at home now than we have before, we can find a lot of ways around the house to be helpful. Okay? And it doesn't matter how big you are or how tall you are, you can be helpful by doing things like, I don't know, putting your shoes where they belong when you come inside, or not throwing your clothes on the floor, put them in the hamper, right? What are some other things you could do? You can pick up your toys. That's a big thing that you can do, right? Mom and Dad have a lot of things that they have to do to help feed you and keep you safe and do other important things. And if you can help them by picking up your toys, that would be a great way to help other people. You can do things like when you're playing with your toys, before you move on to the next game or the next thing, put the first thing away, right? That's a simple thing that you can do. It's not always easy and we don't always remember, but we're going to do our best, right? What are some other ways? Well, you could help hold a door open for somebody, okay? You could help load the dishwasher, okay? So if you're done eating your dinner, you can take your plate over to the kitchen. You can put your forks or your knife or your spoon into the dishwasher. You could scrape the food off of your plate, and either maybe you're going to save it or maybe scrape it into the garbage. Then you can put your plate in the dishwasher. Those are easy things that you can do to help around the house. Maybe you can help unload the dishwasher. I bet you could probably help unload all of the silverware and figure out where all the forks and the spoons go, right? Those are things you can do to be helpful. And I bet that there are a bunch of other things that you thought of that you could do to be helpful to other people at all times. Alright, so the last part. is I'm going to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A lot of big words there, don't you think? I think so. But they're important, and we're going to talk about what they mean. So, what does it mean to be physically strong? Well, I think you probably know what it means to be strong, right? Physically means like your body, right? So, how are some ways you can be physically strong? You can keep yourself physically strong. Well, you can run around and play and be active, right? Video games are fun to play, and some of you probably have some, but it's probably not the best thing to stay physically strong by sitting around playing video games all day long, right? If you're sitting on your couch, it's okay to take a rest, but if you sit on your couch all day long and stare at a TV, well, that's not going to help you become physically strong, is it? And might even get you sick, right? Your body needs exercise, so you should get good exercise every day. Especially if the weather's nice, right? Go outside, go run around, jump, and swing, and whatever. Play sports. Okay, there are all kinds of fun things that you can do to help keep yourself physically strong. How do you keep yourself mentally awake? Mentally? Does anybody know what that word even means? If you do, I'll be pretty impressed. So when we say mentally awake, we're saying mentally we're talking about in our mind. What does it mean? So we're saying to keep your mind awake. What does that mean? It's kind of a hard thing to understand, maybe. What it means is that we're going to pay attention to things. We're not going to become distracted. We're not going to allow ourselves to be distracted, and we're going to watch what's happening around us, and we're going to pay attention, right? Because there are things happening around you all the time, and if you're like zoned in watching a movie or a TV show, there might be somebody in the other room who got hurt who could use your help, right? Maybe you need to get up and call 911. Okay? Sometimes that happens. And sometimes kids have saved the lives of brothers or sisters or parents by being mentally awake and watching what was around them and calling 911 to report an emergency. Okay? I'm sure that probably would never happen to anybody here, but you never know, right? We have to be prepared. And you wouldn't know it, and you wouldn't be able to help if you weren't mentally awake. Okay? You should listen, right? When your mom or your dad are talking, when your teacher's talking, right? If you attend mass or church, when the priest is talking, right? Listen, they're all teaching you something. When you're playing sports and your coach is telling you, teaching you how to do something, right? Listen and ask questions, right? Asking questions is one of the most important things you can do to keep yourself mentally awake, right? You should want to learn about things, okay? And there are no wrong questions, right? Every question is worth asking, all right? All right, so the last part, and to keep myself morally straight. What does that mean? Well, what is a moral? A moral is maybe like a rule that you live your life by. So things like treat other people the way that you want to be treated, and to be kind, and to be helpful, and to be friendly and trustworthy, right? Those are all morals, okay? And to be morally straight means you're going to do your best to adhere to those. Kind of like as if they're rules, and you're going to do your best to not break those rules, okay? Those are rules to live by, okay? And those are called morals. So to be morally straight means that you're going to live your life honestly, okay? So what are some things that you think of that you can do to live a morally straight life? We talked about a lot of them here, and we're going to listen to a lot of great ways you can do that by learning the Scout Law next, okay? But take a minute, pause the video, and discuss what you think you can do.